when it comes to social service, these days there are many organizations. Each organization has its own style of operating. But some of them do it for publicity, some of them do it out of the goodness of their heart. But there are some organizations that do a lot of good work with absolutely no publicity and no fanfare. One such organization is Freemasonry. We are here to learn about the kind of good work that Freemasons are doing. And who better to talk about it than the top Mason of Southern India, Right Worshipful, the regional Grand Master of Southern India, Right Worshipful Brother Sushil Raj himself. Let's meet him. So thank you for agreeing to talk to us.
It's my pleasure to be here this morning with you.
So we'd like to know about Freemasonry as an organization. When and how did it all come about, and how did it come into existence?
Yeah, as far as Freemasonry is concerned, they say it's from time immemorial. Nobody can date to where it came from, because it was really what we practice today, we feel, originated from the stonemasons of ancient Europe, who built cathedrals, palaces, and all. You must have heard of such mammoth structures.
Yeah, but how did did they have an organization like that even then?
Earlier they mustn't have had, but later when as you know, those days there may not be papers, plans and all that, but how did they construct such huge thing with so much of millions of masons working under one man? So that's what we believe. They divided into small organizations, or what we call lodges. Why we call lodges is because, as you know, even today, when masons go to work, they put a tent or a shed near where the construction site. Yeah. And that's where they lodge. So what we call Freemasons Lodge is an offshoot of what those masons did when they started to work. And if you take a huge mammoth castle or a cathedral in ancient Europe, definitely there must have been many lodges in that area, because it's a vast expanse of site. And so each would have had a small head mason or a master and other officers working under him. And then there would be a Grand Master who unifies the whole plan, and which is distributed. So each portion is built by each section of group, which comes under a particular lodge or a guild. Those days it was called guilds mostly. So they were all practicing certain good ideals. They were good people in society. And moreover, they were migratory labor also. They must have been born in a different country, working in a different country. So these organizations taught them how to live, how to obey the laws of the land, how to behave, how to be good, how to care for the neighbor and all that.
I see. So they actually decided to sculpt the character of man as well and teach him good values.
It was there. So now they thought now that the stonemasons were in there, they're becoming an extinct lot. They brought good people from society, people who could support. That's why earlier they had a feeling only affluent people came in. They got in affluent people so that they will fund the organization going on, because it needed fund. Any organization for existing needed fund. Initially they were looking for people who could do something to keep this organization going. So there must have been a time when there were a little bit of operatives, and then what we are calling ourselves called speculative, because we don't do real stonemasons work, but we believe in the ideals of stonemasons. The tools, whatever tools they used for the masonry, like trowel or the square, the compass, we use it to our lives, to measure our context, measure our lives. So see, these things were really a transformation which happened in the 18th century, and slowly.
So from a literal application, it became a figurative application to the ethics and values. It became all
symbols.
Symbolic.
Symbolic.
Sir, the impression that people have about Freemasonry these days, especially the general public, is there's something secretive about that organization. How right or how wrong are they?
Is there anything wrong in secrecy? See, secrecy is what? Your password is a secret. For
my email account.
Yeah, naturally. So can I crib about it, complain about it? No. Same way, this is not a secret, it's a private society. In fact, anybody walking on the road cannot jump into and attend a meeting. It's just like having a own family gathering. People have a lot of family get-togethers now. For generations, they'll all come together and say, they will not admit one person who is not member of the family. Same here, we call ourselves brothers. And how can we have a person who is not a brother? We don't restrict admission. Suppose we say only we are there, you can't come in, then it is definitely something fishy or secret or whatever we call. This is an organization which has believes in certain ideals, which only the meetings are closed doors. Just like any board meeting of a company. And do you call it a secret?
No. Yeah, confidential.
Yes, or private.
It's
the basic thing is a private society. There's nothing secretive about it, because people like Swami Vivekananda, to start with, in the 18th 124, was initiated in Calcutta in the first lodge which came to India. So when Swami Vivekananda was initiated, and we call it initiation when you bring him into the lodge, he was a believer in Masonry. That's why we still believe the famous speech in Chicago when he said, "Brothers and sisters of America," we feel and we believe he had that concept from being a Freemason. Okay. To take that concept, brotherhood, yes. And then people like Motilal Nehru for the RAJ'S here, and our former President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad. Especially another interesting thing is we had many monarchs been members. So in ancient Europe, even now we have definitely Maharaja of Travancore, Maharaja of Mysore are members. Can name a number of prominent people in the country who have been Freemason and who have enjoyed Freemasonry. So isn't that enough for you to say that it's a society which is a good one?
And people aspire to belong to.
Yes, yes.
So one thing very unique about Freemasonry is that all Freemasons have a uniform, I hear. Is that true?
Definitely. We all have a uniform, and it's why the uniform? Any organization which has certain discipline, certain togetherness, certain order, and always notice that you're always in black and black. Either you have this is the Indian dress for the Masons, but in other countries where this is not very prevalent, you have black coats, white shirt, black tie, black shoes. So identifying one, and the togetherness also. Another thing is for the equality in Masons. You see, we are all dressed equal. We all are equal as brethren and as brothers. And now if you are allowed to use your own fancy dresses, you know what kind of dresses people may come for the meeting. Now this is what equalizes everyone. Everyone comes in the same equal way.
What is regalia, sir?
Regalia is the dress, or called the decoration we wear over our coats. It's basically a decoration for the rank we hold. Definitely due to administrative purposes, we hold certain ranks. Like we have the Grand Master. I am the regional Grand Master. My whole of Southern India is under me. And then you have each lodge has a master. So for an identification. And since this whole organization is built on hierarchy, just like from STS, because hierarchy is important.
Sir, every organization has a mission statement. So do Freemasons also have a motto or a mission statement?
Of course. That's what we are bound by. That is earlier, like I mentioned, the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man. We all believe in one God, and then the brotherhood of.
How is Freemasonry as an organization different from other service organizations?
See, first of all, like we said, we are private. We don't. You can't walk in and walk out. Secondly, whatever we believe is first of all faith, hope, charity. So the faith in God and the trust we have in our fellow beings and God. And then charity is another important thing. Charity, what we believe is what the left hand gives, the right hand doesn't know. You know, you have heard the saying. So, and how does it happen? We don't have fundraisings. We do immensely. Every day there may be a charity, Freemason charity going on in this country, because about 366 lodges. And in the southern India, we have about 129 lodges. So every day there must something happening. But where do the funds come from? The only difference is we don't go to the public. It is our own money, our own members. Maybe a very small mite from a person who can afford to any amount. So all that is the one big difference from other organizations. We don't go for a public fundraising. Now we make a big hue and cry about what we are doing about it.
That brings us neatly to the very point I wanted to talk about, your projects. I'm sure there are a number of projects that Freemasons have been involved in that you're very proud of. But if I ask you off the top of your head to talk about a few projects, which ones would you choose?
Oh, that is a very difficult question, because there are plenty which we have done, and to limit it in a short span is very difficult. But it would be nice if I can show you some pictures. Come, we'll take a look at it. Manu, when I took over in 4 months back as a region head of Southern India, we wanted to start off with a very huge project, and the Brethren of Trivandrum raised 20 lakhs within a month to give to the cancer center there a ward, and for Pallium India an ambulance which they used to go visit for visiting terminals. The picture, this is the van, and the check we gave to the cancer center. So this is how we start off with. Even with starting we wanted to do something good, and then when the tsunami came, and all kinds of distress time, we Masons have been in the forefront. We in fact immediately rushed for the aid, but later we realized that so many organizations were there. We waited and found there are 60 families who never had houses. So we built up 60 houses for them, and then built a permanent shelter for them, a community center where we can house, so this is a picture, about 10,000 people.
That's Pallam, is it?
Pallam village near Kanyakumari.
Okay.
about 10,000 square feet where we can, in case of any future calamities, these people can have a shelter. This is how we act immediately. The whole project cost us about 1.5 crores.
Wow.
Again, we had some landlords, other landlords help solve, but all from Masons. And then, you know, there are many ongoing projects. Like in the southern India, I speak of. In the whole of India, there are plenty, but in southern India, in Coimbatore, we have this Masonic hospital, which anybody will say is one of the best in the country, because you ask an auto fellow if your child is sick, where we go, he'll take you to the Masonic in the race course in Coimbatore. Same way in there are umpty now, like in Vellore. In Vellore, we have one of the best blood banks in the state. We have got, I think, the best award of the third best blood bank. They cater to especially in a place like Vellore, where there's so much of hospitals. This is one of the biggest services which we do. Then umpteen number of things in hospital.
Yeah, but how come, sir, you have done it in every field? How come, I'm surprised you're not involved in education?
Education every day, in every school. How many kids are studying because of us? We go to we have sponsored many medical students. Even we go to schools, and even in Chennai recently we sponsored a whole school of girl students for their whole education up to 12th. This is how people come forward. To list education, there is, you know, I think the time is only
not enough time. Okay.
And we have a Masonic foundation, we have a Regional Grand Lodge Trust, which definitely supports, which the lodge, the lower level people bring out these projects, and if it's too big for them, we support them. And all this is funding only by our Masons.
So too many projects to enumerate actually, isn't it? And we don't have enough time. But of late, we've been hearing a very magical word, Jyotirgamay. Tell us about that project, sir.
Anu, you really touched our heart. This is the most magnificent project Masons ever done under the Grand Lodge. Our Grand Master, Dr. Balram Vishwakumar, who's completing his third year now, it was his wish. It will be his pleasure and pride to tell you this great program which he is doing all over the country, and I think you should meet him.
It may come as a surprise to many that even in this age, when man is jet setting, man has landed on the moon, we are able to reach across continents in a matter of few hours. You have breakfast in Chennai and lunch in London. There are places in our country where people live in total darkness, except for the lighting up of home with a small chimney lamp to do their daily activities. They are literally living in darkness. These areas are not just confined to any one state in our country, but they are spread over the whole of our country, in the vast regions of our country. So it was our vision that we should do something to these underprivileged sections of our society who live below the poverty line. The idea was to light up their houses, to give light to them, to their streets, to their small tiny schools, to their small temples in the village, and more especially to their homes where they can go about doing their activities. The children can study with the help of electric bulbs, which they have never seen in their lives. So came this idea of lighting up a village or bringing light into their lives with that saying, "Let there be light." In other words, Jyotirgamaya, a project conceived by the Grand Lodge of India, intends to light up homes in several inaccessible areas of our country, bringing light literally into the lives of people who live in total darkness. This we aim to do by using solar electricity, which is the most easily available source of energy for us in a country which is tropical, where there is sunshine all around the country, all around the year. The most easily available source of energy is solar electricity. So we have embarked upon providing